Welcome to the 2025-2026 Bucks for Books Business Meeting webinar, and congratulations on your Bucks for Books Award. My name is Jeannie Standall. I'm the School Library Consultant for the Idaho Commission for Libraries and the Program Lead for Bucks for Books. If you have any questions about the Bucks for Books program or any other services or programs offered by ICFL, please contact me at jeannie.standall@libraries.idaho.gov or give me a call at 208-639-4139. Jamie Thill, our Grants and Contracts Officer, is also available to answer any questions about the financial side of the award and issues with Amplifund. You can contact Jamie at jamie.thill@libraries.idaho.gov or 208-639-4153. If you aren't sure which of us to call, just reach out to one of us and we'll make sure the question gets to the right person. Since 2019, ICFL and the Idaho Lottery have partnered to offer the Bucks for Books program to Idaho's elementary school libraries. We at ICFL are so pleased to work on this project with the Lottery Commission and thank them for their ongoing support of Idaho's elementary school libraries and students through Bucks for Books and other programs. For more information on how the Idaho Lottery supports schools, visit their website at idaholottery.com. The Bucks for Books grant package is digital, and awardees can find all the pieces either in their email inbox, through their Amplifund account, or on the Bucks for Books page on the ICFL website. Your grant application, together with the award letter and your reply accepting the award, will serve as your grant agreement. All the requirements, deadlines, and expectations are listed on the grant application. We'll cover those requirements in more detail during the webinar, but if anything is unclear or if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. The fully executed agreement was sent to you via email. There's a grant timeline on the Bucks for Books page where there is a suggested implementation pacing guide along with a few hard deadlines. There's just one report for this program, and you'll be able to access it through your Amplifund account as we approach the end of the award period. In the meantime, there's a list of questions to expect on the final report available for you to use in your plans and data gathering, also on the Bucks for Books page. A financial report is a required part of the final report, and that report must be generated by your district's accounting software. A list of the titles purchased with award funds should also be attached to the final report. Also on the Bucks for Books webpage is a list of resources to help get started with choosing books, including book lists and award lists. The big picture of the 2025-2026 Bucks for Books award year looks like this. We received nearly $96,000 in requests and were able to fund $71,000 of those requests, awarded to 26 schools in each of the 6 education regions across the state. Our grant period will run from October 20, 2025 to April 17, 2026. As you make decisions about your grant program, it's hard to go too wrong if you keep the goals of the grant in mind. The goals of the Bucks for Books Award are to increase the amount of reading done in homes of children in Idaho's elementary schools, to increase access to age-appropriate quality nonfiction and fiction titles in elementary school libraries, and to increase the number of children reading on grade level. Bucks for Books funds will be released in late October through early November. Meanwhile, it's a good idea to become very familiar with the details of this award. Reread the award application and make sure you understand the requirements, the implications of any new practices that will be implemented, and the people who need to know. Make best friends with the financial person who will be working with you on this award. It is important for the team members who will be creating your financial report and processing your book orders to understand the financial details of this award. It's also important for you and the rest of the grant team to understand how the payment cycle works and what the time span is between when you submit a purchase order request earmarking grant funds for a book order and when the check gets written to pay that invoice. This information will be valuable when working out the timing of your orders and your reorders as your grant money is spent. Remember, placing your order does not necessarily mean the money has been spent. That only happens when the check has been written to pay the bill. Next, read the grant agreement again, just to make sure your understanding of the purchase cycle fits with your understanding of the requirements of the grant. Then set your priorities, make your lists, and start buying those books. This grant is pretty flexible and streamlined, but there are some requirements that are important. Perhaps the most important requirement is the first. All your students will be allowed to check out at least 2 books each week to take home to read. A main indicator of success in reading is the amount of reading students do at home. This is especially important now as students are still recovering learning loss during the pandemic. Many of your students do not have books to read where they live, and they likely don't have regular access to a public library, and consequently, the school library is their only source for reading material. All students will be allowed to check out nonfiction books. If nonfiction is in short supply in your library, these funds might help buy enough for all your students who want to read nonfiction to have a chance to take those books home. The award funds will be spent on age-appropriate books for elementary students, up to 6th grade depending on the grade served at your school. Up to 50% of the award funds may be spent with any one publisher. For the purposes of this grant, we're defining a publisher as an organization that sells primarily the products that they develop and produce. Examples of publishers are Abdo, Gumdrop, Usborne, and Scholastic. A vendor, on the other hand, is an organization that sells titles from a wide variety of publishers. When you search their inventory, you can find most any title. A few examples of vendors are your local independent bookstore, Follett, Amazon, Bound to Stay Bound, or Permabound. Again, if you can find most titles there, it's probably a vendor. If you choose to use one of these organizations, you may spend any amount of grant funds up to 100%. You will submit a final report by May 1st, 2026. You should be well prepared and submit complete answers to the best of your ability. The link to the report will be available as we near the end of the grant period. In the meantime, take a look at the Questions to Expect document on the Bucks for Books page at libraries.idaho.gov so you'll know what to expect to report as you make your way through the grant period. Up to 5% of your award can be spent on book processing supplies like mark records, spine labels, barcodes, and the like. There are just a few don'ts for this program. Don't spend these award dollars on AR tests and supplies. They are not allowable purchases with these funds. Don't buy books for classrooms. The books purchased with these funds are meant to be circulating library books that will be taken home by students to read, rather than books that support classroom work. Consequently, class sets, literature circle sets, and other classroom materials are not eligible purchases with these funds. Remember, this is funding for the library, not for the classroom. Don't forget to notify ICFL if you are no longer working on the Bucks for Books award team. If you find, for whatever reason, you must leave your school or cannot complete the grant requirements, please contact me and let me know you're leaving the grant team. Otherwise, I will not know that I should be working with a new person on this project, and another person at your school might not take up the reins. There's a detailed timeline on the Bucks for Books page, but here is a pared down timeline with the highlights. Like the detailed timeline, the black notations on this timeline are more of a pacing guide to help everyone stay on track to have their money spent on time. The red notations are hard deadlines that must be met. The grant timeline kicks off in October when you receive notification of your award. In October or November, you may be contacted by the Idaho Lottery about a visit to your school to present you with a big ceremonial check and maybe a few extras to get things off to a good start. It's a good idea to place your first book order well before winter break, and it would be best to make that a large order. If you end up having some books back ordered, you'll still have plenty of time to spend that money by placing your next order by mid-February. That will still give a little cushion of time if there's still a bit of money left to spend, and you'll be able to include some of the new Youth Media Award winners that will be announced on January 26th, if they seem like winners for your students. Supply chain issues are still with us, so place your orders early and expect backordered books. Keep a close eye on the money you have actually spent versus the money that has been obligated with the book order. All of your grant funds should be obligated by mid-March at the latest. April 17th, 2026 is the end of the grant program, when every last penny of your Bucks for Books award should be spent. There should be no dollars or cents left. If there are any dollars or cents left over on April 17th, on April 18th they should be returned, even if it's just a few pennies. So it's a good idea to spend a little bit, say $20 to $50 or so, over your grant amount. That gives you a little cushion in case something gets backordered or if for some reason you come up short in your spending. It is far, far better to go a little over in spending than to underspend. Sending money back to us is a worst case scenario that nobody wants. And your final report is due May 1st, 2026. To allow as much time as possible for you to spend your award, we have pushed this report deadline out as far as we dare. We know that many of you are out of school by mid-May, so it's important that there are a few weeks after receiving reports to contact you with any questions. With that in mind, please make every effort to submit your report on time.
ICFL has been awarding grants for quite a while now, and we've noticed that successful grantees have some practices in common. First, they keep a copy of the grant agreement and all the accompanying documents in a place where the entire grant team can access them. Whether that location is physical or digital, tell other members of your grant team where it is. Make sure everything someone would need to take up this award mid-year is there, in case you are unable to finish. If you keep them in your inbox or save them on your computer, it could be difficult or impossible for someone else to access that information in the event you are unable to come to school. If your school uses a shared drive, perhaps that would be a good place to store your documents. Next, they put all the deadlines in their calendar and reminders a couple of weeks in advance so they are well prepared for reporting. They've established a good relationship with the finance person who will be working on the grant with them and understand how the purchasing process works. They get started on the grant activities right away. That's especially important this year since supply chain issues are still with us. They bookmark the URL for the Bucks for Books page on the ICFL website at libraries.idaho.gov/school-libraries/Bucks for Books, and they make sure libraries.idaho.gov is on the email safe list. And when there is a question, they ask. I'm here to answer your questions anytime.
Before moving on, here's a quick review of key items. The obligation deadline for Bucks for Books, that is, a PO earmarking money to be spent, is due mid-March at the latest. The spending deadline is April 17th, 2026. There should be no dollars or cents left by April 17th, 2026, and everyone should consider spending up to $50 more than the grant award to ensure that this happens. The final report deadline is May the 1st, 2026. And the financial report submitted with your final report must be generated by your school district's accounting software. And remember to spend every penny of your grant funds.
And now on to book selection. The first step before you start putting an order together is to assess your current collection and set priorities for ordering. What do your students want the most? What do they need the most? Also, consulting your collection development policy will help guide your choices. Reviews and book lists are very useful here. Of course, you want to get great titles for your students, but you can't read everything before you buy it. Book reviews and award or top 10 lists can really help out with this. They're not 100% reliable. Sometimes an award-winning book is not a hit with the kids, but they are helpful in pointing us in the right direction. If you're considering a book that is unreviewed, give it a little extra thought. It could mean it's not a great title, but not necessarily. Student requests are an excellent way to select books. Always look closely into student-requested titles before putting them on the shelf, though, to make sure that it's a good fit for your collection. Bilingual and cultural books are excellent additions to your collection. When considering them, be watchful for cultural stereotyping and bias. It's sometimes present even in new titles. Teacher wish lists and suggestions are also great sources for titles. Keep in mind, however, that the titles purchased with these funds are primarily for recreational reading for the students, not for classwork. Avoid the one-stop shop. If a rep offers to help you spend all your grant money, refer back to the 50% requirement. And as you go through the year, keep the grant timeline in mind. Do the bulk of your ordering early to allow yourself time to reorder later. There are a few other things to think about in administering this grant. For this program, we'd like you to put aside a book's reading level and concentrate on interest level. Remember, the kids will be taking books home to read with their families. Even those who aren't reading independently will be able to enjoy books beyond their reading level because their grown-ups will be reading it with them. Kids that are reading independently should be able to freely choose what they want to read at home. On the title list submitted with the final report, there are some types of books that might be inappropriate for an elementary school library. For example, lots of kids like to read about the military, war, and fighting. It's important that those books are developmentally appropriate for elementary school. A book on counterterrorism, for example, even if it's marketed to the K-3 interest level or reading level, probably isn't developmentally appropriate for a kindergartner or first grader. Again, consider using that 5% on processing fees to expedite the process and get those new books on the shelves, especially if your time every week in the library is short. It could be helpful to recruit volunteers or student aides to help with some aspects of processing. Spend a little bit more than the grant funds to give yourself a little cushion for spending and aim to spend your money early. Don't wait until new books have arrived to adopt the circulation policies included in this grant. Allow your kids to practice with the old books before getting all those new books. There have been some strong themes that have emerged in prior grantee reporting. Don't be surprised if the kids go wild over the nonfiction titles that you buy. They are extremely popular. With the infusion of new books, the kids will be eager to learn more about the library and all it has to offer. Teachers and librarians are pleasantly surprised at how little loss and damage actually occurs with circulating more books. Speaking of lost and damaged books, we've been promoting the Books and Backpacks Are Buddies idea for many years now. The idea is that kids are either reading their books or the books are in their backpacks, and the books are nowhere else. They aren't under the bed or in the trunk of the car or on the kitchen table. If they aren't being read, they are in the backpack. When kids and parents are taught this method, the books are read and protected, and the students always have the books with them in their backpack when library day rolls around and it's time to turn them in. If 2 books per week is an increase in circulation for you, you might be thinking, how am I going to reshelve all those extra books? You could use bins like these. Benefits are twofold: easy for kids to access and they can see the covers, and easy for librarians to shelve. Just group the books together by subject and put them in the bin. No more finding the exact right Dewey spot on the shelf. Some schools have kids take books home in plastic bags to keep everything together and protected. This works especially well if the kids carry water bottles in their backpacks along with the books. These bags have the student name, the teacher name, and the day of the week when books are due. If you choose to give this a try, some of that 5% for supplies can be used to purchase bags like this. When in doubt, go back to the first goal of the award program, to increase the amount of reading done in the homes of Idaho children. If the idea under consideration supports this goal, then probably it's on the right track.
And just one more thing, please send me an email and include one interesting detail from this webinar. Those that respond will receive a new hardback book for their library's collection, and Bucks for Books funds won't be released until I receive this verification that you've completed the webinar. Again, if you have any questions or need clarification, just reach out to Jamie or me. We are happy to help you solve problems or answer any questions that come up during the grant period.